So good afternoon. We really appreciate all of you taking this time to join us today. Just to recap what has happened with you this semester and to also update you with what we have on our side with information. And there will be a time for questions. So if you have any, please feel free to ask. I'm on here as well as Arcola and some other people of AIC who might have a better response than I. So I have a lot of support here, and we do appreciate all the efforts everyone has done. As you know, we did receive that 4.5 million, and there might potentially be, once it's signed, another additional amount of money coming in. So there will be a few changes, but we will not address those today because we need time to digest and determine what would be the best way to approach that for all of us and how to handle it. But I do want to share with you today a few things about where we are with this first semester. So I'm going to share a screen. And I'm going to pull up these. Okay, so click. I just wanted to go ahead and start right off the bat. I know several of you have had challenges, and these are just a few that have been noted to us so far. We know that several students have acquired previous debt to the institution. Some students just have too much debt that they, already have incurred, and so they can't find a rationale to be able to come back again. Also, some students may have SAP issues such as exhausted Pell and other situations at your institution based on your rules and regulations. Maybe they just feel they cannot afford it even with the Reengage award. Some may say they have a lack of time or support to return, with family and work commitments. And then also, not all of the SIPs have enough qualified students, which I think about that. We did choose from those that had the high wage and high demand job situation. So there may be a lot of students who may not be in that particular area, but we're hoping to try to make some changes through the summer. We'll be thinking about things, and we'll keep you abreast of those to maybe make things a little easier. But today is all about to try to find out what you have discovered, to let us know, and for us to think about if there are some ways we might can help you. So I know you may have some other thoughts here on challenging of identifying the students. Does anyone want to chime in at this point? This is very informal. Or some other ideas that we have not considered. Okay.
I was just say, when looking at the pre-professional programs from the four-year standpoint, I couldn't find any pre-nursing or like pre-accounting people that qualified. The reason they stopped out was because they didn't end up matriculating for academic reasons into like nursing or accounting or later into the business program. So they got dug too deep of a hole with SAP.
True. Okay. And I think someone else had mentioned even nursing in particular, that they had stopped out simply because they did not meet the status quo of what's required to stay within that program. So there are certain rules that maybe they could not return, or maybe, it changes the situation for them. So that's something else I know nursing may be unique to. All right, I appreciate you sharing. So another thing I wanted to just run through quickly, I know there have been some questions about the eligibility rules. Yes, they are very specific in that sometimes it may seem to eliminate the students, but keep in mind the entire time of the intent of developing this was the focus of having students to actually complete. So sometimes we have to put those rigid guidelines in so that we can push them through to actually achieve their goals as a support mechanism more so than a hindrance. But are there any questions about these eligibility rules that you may have at this point in time? And I know you may think of some as we finish or even during this time, feel free to come back, but anything at this point in time? Okay. So I wanted to share with you where we are at the close of this term with our first semester. As you see, these are the institutions who were awarded the money, and we did have 4.101 thousand that was made available to our institutions. And with that, we did have $316,250 at the 4-year applied and $2,375 for the 2-year. I do know that some of our 2-year institutions have commented they feel more will be eligible to meet that goal of 36 hours after the summer, perhaps. That may be the same case for others at the 4-year. I'm not sure. But we did award $78,625 to 30 students over 9 institutions. And I did a little calculation. If those students were to complete based on the hours that were submitted to us in the Excel roster sheet, that would be another $189,000 that would be accounted for to see them to the end to earn their degree. So as you can see, we still have a great abundance of money that we want to give away, so to speak. We really want our students to come back, and we need your help in finding them. And I think several of you might have some unique ways that you have done that. If you have anything that you could share, that would be great. You know, we're all in this together. So does anyone have anything, something they found to be helpful to identify their students at their institution? You are all quiet today.
At AUM, we just did a lot of outreach with our advisors, our institutional effectiveness office.
Mhm.
We kind of went back for the last 5 or 6 years and found anyone with a 2-year gap. And then we sat down with the advisors, figured out who was still in good enough standing, who qualified, especially like in the case of nursing, people would be allowed to continue on in those programs. And we were able to identify 15 or 16 people.
That's great. And
coming
correct
back.
me if I'm wrong, Paul, I think, and you're also going to have a graduate this semester, am I right?
Yes, I think we have 2 maybe on that list.
Yay,
Yeah.
first one. So that's wonderful. Wonderful. That's the entire purpose of what we're trying to do here. So that's great to hear. Anyone else? Thank you. Okay, so I want to now talk about attention to the institutional roster. That is the Excel form. There were a few things that, of course, this is a learning curve for all of us this first term, but we wanted to bring it to your attention now. So maybe that might help make matters a little smoother the next term. Column D, the status of the student. And it could have also been, you know, sometimes you click a choice and you scroll and it might have went back to the other word that's choice here. You only have new or returning. Just for clarity, we want to make sure you understood that refers only to the Reengage grant itself, not the student status at the institution. So this first term being the first inaugural time for us to give this grant, everyone should have been new. But if they continue the program receiving the funds, now they will be returning, and anyone else that you bring in new to the grant will be new that first term that they come in. Another column is the Social Security numbers. We may be making some adjustments. We've tried to work through this. You know, there are a lot of formulas embedded in this sheet, but please make sure that they have nothing but numbers, no dashes. That throws things off sometimes when we put it on our side. So we just need those 9 digits straight and numbers only. And for column N, program hours earned, these must be provided. This is a key point to us knowing how this Excel spreadsheet will populate over the other values in there so that you'll know exactly how many hours they have remaining for eligibility and potential money that they might receive if they were to see it through. So please do not skip it. We did not make it to where it's a required field because you know, there was enough in there of that. And plus you may need to make adjustments. So if you misread somebody's number, but please make sure that you do put those numbers in. Okay. And then for the form, this is where I want to go over with you today. And hopefully I will do it in a smooth enough manner. It will make sense. But this sheet, they have several tabs and they are very important. For this first one, most everyone was focused on spring 2024. And I get that. That's, we were all trying to just get them in because it was a really tight squeeze to get it all going. But now that we know how things roll a little bit more better, we do need to make sure that you have all the other forms filled out. Now, overall funds is automatically populated with whatever you put in the other documents from spring forward per term. The student overview is very important. It can be handled different ways, but I actually am using this tab for me to know exactly the status of where we are with our students and how we might have a continuation, how many students are currently enrolled, they're new, or, the stop outs, if they leave, that's important. Degrees awarded, very important. That's an important assessment we have of this funding. And then, of course, the term itself. So I wanted to go through just a few matters of how to handle that. Before I do, I just wanted to remind you, this is our contact information. Our COLA is on here as well. This is her number and her email. So if you have any questions as we go through this at any point in time, please feel free to pick up the phone and call or email, whatever works best for you. I'm going to stop this and pull up an Excel sheet. So let me stop sharing. And before I get into this Excel sheet, are there any other questions someone may have thought of since we have went through a few other sections? Okay. So on the Excel spreadsheet, I'll get it straight in a minute. It's Thursday. Let me share this with you. And so as you see here, this is AIC institution. We were allocated $48,000, and each term it accumulates to the end of being 48 to let us know what is remaining. This is important. I know we have a lot of money to share, but you have to keep in mind, once you have a student enrolled in the grant, the point is to see them to the end of their time to receive the degree. So you want to make sure that you have enough money to help those who come in first. And that's the intention of this form. So this is our initial allocation. When we go to spring, I'm just going to go through. So I have some people in here. I have them all in accounting, all 124 hours, just try to make it a little easier on myself, actually. As you see here, we cap at 120. That is for this level, different for 2-year, but I'm using the 4-year. We all have different values, but I think we know that. All of these are new. So I'm going to say that if I review these students and I see that they have 91, this student has 101, and this student has 80 hours earned. You see that it is populated here, how many are left for them to be eligible for funding. They do have more hours left to actually earn the degree, but for funding, they're very close to it. And there are ways to work through this that they could actually receive enough money to see them to the end. But then the enrolled hours is very important. Let's say that they are 15, 10, and 12 in that order. So this lets me know what they are eligible for this current term. So when you go to the student overview, this is where we ask that you enter that same information. You can actually go here, and I use letters just, for the AC number here for us, 8, but you can actually copy paste this part and put it exactly right here in the number of hours. The only thing different is here, the term that they began. And then this is what will change. And it could be a little tricky. Remember, I had suggested to have a form that is a what if, and then the one that you actually turn in. So for us, as we said, these students, let's say they have earned. So right now they haven't completed, well, see, there you go. It has to have 72. They have completed this number and 80. I'm trying to make sure I stay on task. Once the spring term is over and let's say they finish everything, it is then when they go to the next term and you put in where they are, you come back to the student overview and we ask that you update. So let's say at the end of the spring term, they've completed those degrees. So then now, when I go back to the student overview, I'm going to put that they are 106, and this person is 111. And this person, I believe, let's see, how many did I have him in? 12, so is it 92? That lets you know, the reason this sheet's important, it lets you know how much they are awarded, but how much may be needed to see them to the end of this degree. It may not be exact just because of how hours fall, but it's very close. In the summer, let's say that 2 of these people come back, so they're returning. 1 person is new. And in the summer, let's say now after the spring term, this person's at 106, this person's at 111. This new person, let's say, has, I had it on here, I think, yeah, 114, okay? So if you notice, this third person only lacks 10 hours to graduate, but has 6 hours of eligibility. So that means that 4 hours would come out of this individual's pocket from some other way of cost covering, but still can complete. So let's say in the summer that they have decided to enroll in 6, and this person has decided to enroll in all 10, taking a real tight summer. So now all of them receive $1,500, but this person, even though new, Be Kind, will now come over as a degree awarded at the end of this term. And I will say that this person has graduated as of the end of summer and has been awarded a total of $1,500. So it's just a good accounting process for you as well as us to see exactly what's happened through the life of this grant for these students. And in the fall, I'm just showing you how you just keep copying. We have Edward, who was back in the spring, did not come in the summer, which is okay, but now he's coming back in the fall along with Dolan and Petway, and they have new hours earned and so forth. Are there any questions about this particular area? And if you'll notice, once we do populate that information, that's why it's so important that this is included and this is included in order to take us to the overall funds. You now see overall this much is accounted for, leaving you with $35,000 to still spend on those students and possibly new ones.
Dr. Dolan, I have a question.
Yes.
So we currently have a possible fall student at our university who meets all the qualifications, but after sitting down and hearing this about the 100, like, I guess I somehow missed the 120 part.
Mm-hmm.
She's got 127 earned hours currently, but still has, I think we determined she had about 4 classes left. So she would be ineligible because she's over that 120 already. Is that what I'm understanding?
Are all of her 127 hours part of her program?
No, ma'am. I think some of them are prerequisites. I think I'll have to go back and double check, but like I just did a quick glance at her profile because I recall seeing a pretty big number of her hours, but she still has, I think it's 4 or 5 senior level business major classes for her degree.
Mm-hmm.
But again, her earned hours is over 127, and she still has, I mean, she hasn't come back yet. It would be this fall, but she's already at that 127 hours, even though they're not all degree applicable.
Well, and I think that's why we tried to give a little flexibility. And this is where we ask you to be very conscientious on behalf of the student too, which you are. And I appreciate you bringing this up. So program hours earned, as you said, there were some prerequisites. Perhaps there were some other courses that, freshman year, they changed their major. They're there as far as earned hours, but they're not. If you were to run a degree evaluation, they would not apply toward this particular degree.
Correct. Okay, great. So this student could still qualify because they're not perfect. Right. That is such a relief.
The issue is we want to, at least with hours earned, though, even with everything, that they are at that minimum. We don't want someone, let's say, who, let's take 72 hours as the minimum for 4 years, that if you really did that, they only have 40 hours. That's not really going to be helpful, because it would take another 60 hours just to get to 120. Or 80 hours. Am I making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
So that person would not be one that should be part of this consideration.
Thank you.
Mhm. I'll get back up. Anyone else? Or anything else you need to see or you want to ask? Anyone else? I just want to make sure. I don't like taking a lot of your time, but I do want to make sure you have ample time to ask any questions. And I appreciate Arcola. She's been wonderful helping all of you, I know, and we really enjoy stories to hear of those who are returning. You know, if you have some anecdotes just to even share with us, or maybe some like your graduates, Paul, we could put on social media if they want to, you know, that may be something they might not want to, but anything to help us let people be more aware and mindful of the reengaged so that it can help you not have to look so hard for the students. Hopefully they'll come to you. We were hoping to help with some marketing outreach efforts, but I'm not sure how, you know, the money was still not given to us for that. We did ask for that again, but hopefully there are some ways that you are able to do it at your institutions. And if there are some ideas that maybe you could ask us in support of that, you know, be sure to ask. It never hurts to ask. Okay. Well, if you think of anything else, as always, feel free to call or email any of us here. We're here for you, and we do appreciate all that you're doing and hope that these numbers will increase. We want to see all the money gone. So if nothing else, I appreciate everyone, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
Bye.